Tonight on Connecticut's news station, the ballot battle continues in Bridgeport. A judge orders a new primary, but with just days before the general election, what does that mean for the new primary? More ahead on what election law says.
Plus, the man accused of hitting and killing a woman appears in court. What police say led up to the accident. And growing calls for peace in Gaza. We're hearing from local religious leaders who were taking their message to lawmakers' offices.
Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good evening and thanks for joining us here for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. After finding what a judge called shocking evidence of absentee ballot fraud in Bridgeport, state officials are left scrambling. That judge ruled the city must hold a new primary.
It's a confusing and unprecedented scenario, and Fox 61's Matt Karen is here to break it all down.
Well, it's been a little while since we visited the absentee ballot drop box that started it all here outside the Margaret Morton Government Center in Bridgeport. This now infamous ballot drop box has garnered national news coverage.
It's helpful to have video evidence of your opponent committing crimes.
It was this unprecedented video evidence that propelled John Gomes to a legal victory and what he hopes will translate into a political one Tuesday.
We are focused on November 7th. And if we come out as the voters of Bridgeport and cast our vote, we will stand here again victorious.
Despite being focused on November 7th, Judge William Clark's ruling of a new primary has state election officials trying to figure out what comes next.
We are at this very moment talking with the Attorney General's office.
Here's what we know. If Gomes wins Tuesday, the case is over. No need for a new primary. If Ganim wins, there will be a new primary. If Ganim wins the new primary, he becomes mayor. If Gomes wins, there will be a second general election. The dates all to be announced. To complicate the situation further, the state still hasn't hired a permanent election monitor to oversee the integrity of the vote after the legislature funded the position with a $150,000 salary in September.
We had 4 weeks to find someone, a candidate for a job that is very, very specific. And there aren't that many people who know election law, election process, don't have a job already, don't want to be paid benefits, and want to be hounded by the news media every day.
To make matters even more interesting, Fox 61 obtained the numbers for exactly how many absentee ballots are issued for Tuesday's election. In Bridgeport, 2,281, the most of any Connecticut community. Are all the same tactics being used?
There are districts where the absentee ballot harvesting has happened. It continues to happen. We've also gotten a number of phone calls into this office detailing that the very same operatives are out there.
Fox 61 reached out to Mayor Ganim's office for a response to the court ruling. In a statement, he said, quote, "We will explore all legal options that are available to us, including the possibility of appealing the court's decision."
This is one I would be happy to stand in front of the Supreme Court.
Question remains, did Mayor Ganim have anything to do with the fraud?
Have you ever talked with her about absentee ballots?
No. Indirectly, subconsciously, I would tell you yes.
And let's remember, in the backdrop of all of this, the State Elections Enforcement Commission and the Chief State's Attorney's Office are conducting their own potentially criminal investigations. We also spoke today with the Secretary of the State's office, who told us they just hired their interim election monitor on Tuesday. Her name is Peggy Reeves. Reporting in Bridgeport, Matt Karen, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Now to a developing story. A New Britain man faces a judge accused of hitting a woman with his car in front of a fire station. She died from her injuries.
Now, that crash happened last night, and the 25-year-old man remains in custody with bail set at $1 million.
Fox 61's Samaya Hernandez has been combing through court documents, and she joins us with details.
This warrant details a woman's attempts to walk across South Main Street to play her lucky lottery numbers. She never made it, and police quickly narrowed in on a local man with front-end car damage. Sam Harris wasn't alone facing a judge, his family in court for his arraignment with tears in their eyes. Documents show the 25-year-old told New Britain police he left the gym, smoked some weed, and out of nowhere, his window just busted. After 9 o'clock Wednesday night, prosecutors shared a different narrative.
It looks like speed was a factor. Officers located the vehicle owned by this defendant had the starred windshield and had some substance consistent with blood on the windshield.
First responders found 62-year-old Brenda Catucci lying in the middle of the road in front of Firehouse number 2. She was rushed to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. Surveillance images of a white Infiniti led police to the home of 25-year-old Harris.
Single, residing alone, not working, being supported by his family.
Harris's mom reportedly told police he wasn't home and was out with his girlfriend, but after officers yelled, Harris walked downstairs and was charged with evading responsibility involving death.
Does have 4 cases pending out of this court, all on for November 9th.
Wednesday night, not his first run-in with local authorities, nor his first felony charge.
Reckless endangerment first, 2 counts of assault on a public safety officer.
Harris remains in custody with bail set at $1 million. He's due back in court on November 16th. In New Britain, I'm Samaya Hernandez, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Samaya, thank you. We have an update now. A man wanted in connection to a fatal shooting in Norwich is in custody in Florida tonight. 19-year-old Stankovic Fabre was apprehended by the Miami-Dade Police Department on Monday. He was found in the rental car lounge at Miami International Airport. He was wanted by Norwich police on murder charges in connection to the shooting death of Kamari Clack back in May. Fabre is currently awaiting extradition back to Connecticut.
Groton police have made an arrest in connection to a fatal dirt bike crash. Police say Scott Whipple, driving a dirt bike, ran a red light on Long Hill Road and crashed into a car that was turning at a green light. His passenger, Tiara Wheeler, died in that crash. Police say the crash happened during a street takeover. Whipple was released on $200,000 bond, and he's due in court next month. Turning to the weather now, another cold day. Another cold day. I say that like there's been so many. Really, it was just recently, right? But will it last for the weekend?
Yeah, and whatever the temperature is, the important thing about the weekend is it's dry. Rachel, the ducks are going to look at each other and say, wait, I thought it was the weekend.
It has been all about the ducks lately, and now it is back to us humans. Beautiful weather heading into both Saturday and Sunday for a change. It was a frosty start to the day today, though. Michael Beck showing us this beautiful shot of a sunflower coated in frost this morning in Portland. You can see it all around the edges of the flower and also for the seeds too. A really nice shot. And this is the coldest morning that we have had since early April. 24 for Windham, 29 the overnight low in the 20s right down to the Connecticut shoreline this morning. And we've rebounded. Earlier today we saw highs in the upper 40s, and some towns got close to 50, but most of the day spent in the 40s. And it will be chilly again tonight, although not quite as cold as last night. It's still another frosty start to the day with overnight lows in the upper 20s to low 30s inland and mid 30s for the Connecticut shoreline. But a bigger rebound as we head through tomorrow afternoon. So I think once we get past the frosty start tomorrow, temperatures are going to continue as we head into the weekend to move up. Highs in the mid 50s as we head through tomorrow afternoon with lots of sun, and it's even warmer this weekend. Your full forecast coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Well, more than 9,000 people have been killed by Israeli strikes on Gaza since October 7th, a number that continues to grow. Today, a group of people gathered outside Congresswoman Rosa DeLaurio's office in New Haven to give names to those numbers. Fox 61 New Haven County Bureau reporter Julia LeBlanc shares their call for action.
Well, this sidewalk is relatively empty now, but it was filled with people this afternoon calling for peace as they read the names of the thousands who have been killed aloud.
Muhammad Salman Shaldan al-Najjar.
Giving names to the numbers.
It's really devastating when you realize that each name is a person.
Reverend Allie Perry with Shalom United Church of Christ gathering a group of people to add what she hopes is some humanity to the Israel-Hamas war.
We're here to humanize it because this situation has been very dehumanized on both sides.
Reverend Perry calling for peace with a poem.
I'm taking the side of peace whose name has barely been spoken in this winnerless war.
The group holding signs asking for a ceasefire in front of Congresswoman Rosa DeLaura's office on Elm Street in New Haven.
The Biden administration and Congress have failed to now to call for a ceasefire.
Something Howard Stover says isn't in the cards right now. He's a national security professor at the University of New Haven with 25 years of experience in the Foreign Service.
After losing 1,400 people brutally as they were slaughtered by the Hamas on October 7th and 8th, Israel is not prepared to do a ceasefire at this time.
But what lawmakers are calling for, including Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, is a humanitarian pause and hostage release to let aid into Gaza.
The leadership of Hamas is very unwilling and unyielding with respect to considering humanitarian considerations.
But for these folks, a pause still isn't enough as they read the names of the more than 9,000 children and adults killed, no matter which side they were on.
So don't ask me to wave a flag today unless it is the flag of peace.
Now, a spokesperson for Representative DeLauro says somebody from her office did come outside today to speak with the people gathered on the sidewalk, and she will continue to keep their opinions in mind as she works in Washington. We are in New Haven. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Julia. Senator Chris Murphy now calling on Israel to change direction in its Gaza operations. In a statement, he said the current rate of civilian death inside Gaza is unacceptable and unsustainable. I urge Israel to immediately reconsider its approach and shift to a more deliberate and proportionate counterterrorism campaign.
More results now from a new Quinnipiac University poll on how America views the war between Israel and Hamas. 84% of American voters are concerned the U.S. will be drawn into the military conflict. It also found 75% of people think prejudice against Jewish people in the U.S. is a serious problem. This is the highest percentage of people seeing it as a serious problem since Quinnipiac began asking that question back in 2017.
Well, still to come here on the news at 6, hogs wreaking havoc in one community, the concerns from residents who say they are dealing with the pig problem.
Plus, Thanksgiving for all. We'll look at how Connecticut Food Share is already working to make sure no one goes hungry for the holidays.